Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Meet the President, and we're here with independent presidential candidate, Professor Michael Wainaina. I'd like us to go back to the issue of being youth savvy and understanding what the youth are. And you are quite heavy on social media, on the internet. So what have your interactions been like, if any, with young people and women, your constituents, your core constituents, outside of that?
A lot. Like I told you, I have a lot of project experience in working with young women and working with the youth when I was in the university. Of course, my position in the university and my having worked with the students at the university is a big part of my concern for what is going on with young people in the country. I do hold quite a number of meetings with women and young people to hear what their issues are, and those meetings will continue as we move ahead, because we need to much more clearly understand ways in which we can mitigate the challenges that are faced by young people and are faced by young women, by women. We do have a fairly clear understanding of where we need our young people to be going forward. We do have a clear understanding of the kind of support and the kind of environment and the kind of infrastructure that we need to put in place in order to support them to become what they would otherwise become. And much of this has been put together from our interaction with them over time.
All right. How about on social media? You have a video on your website which is 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
You're speaking to young people and women, many of whom don't have jobs, therefore don't have money, don't have bundles, and don't have the attention span to watch a 12-minute video off their phone. And some would say this speaks to a lack of understanding of how to deal with young people on social media and on the internet and how it works.
I don't know that it speaks to a lack of understanding. Social media, Yvonne, is just one of the ways in which we seek to reach people. And then your question assumes that you have a homogeneous audience on social media. You don't have a homogeneous audience on social media. You have segmented audiences in social media, and it's possible for you to reach very different audiences on the same platform. So I don't think that it speaks to any lack of understanding of anything. In any case, it is just one of the platforms in which we are engaging people. This is another platform in which we are engaging people. I am sure it is out of reach of quite a number of people. That does not mean that you don't understand.
But you are big on social media.
Yes, I am big on social media. Yes,
you have a website.
I am big. I am big on social media, and I wouldn't be big on social media, Yvonne, if I didn't understand how social media works. So I don't see anything wrong with the 12-minute video, because if you go to the Youthify and Modernize Kenya YouTube channel, there is Youthify and ModernizeKenya.com, that's a website. There is Youthify and Modernize Kenya YouTube channel. You will find 1-minute videos for the people who can't do 12-minute videos. You will find 3-minute videos. You will find 2.5-minute videos. So this is a video that was for a certain segment on social media. I think all other segments are represented, and we are sensitive to make sure that all segments are represented. We cannot assume that everybody is the same. That's number one. Number two, we are on TV, we are on radio, and we are on the ground. You use different media to talk to different heterogeneous audiences. You do not use one media to talk to one group of people.
Okay. Your time at Kenyatta University, I think both as a student and faculty member. What are your thoughts on academic freedom in this country, and lecturers' freedom of conscience? And what are your thoughts on the place of national politics, for example, in university politics. I mean, I think it's been there from the days of Orengo and a number of other people that we saw rising, even Hassan Omar. A lot of these people rising through the ranks, Babu Owino now. What are your thoughts on that, the place of national politics in university politics? I mean, you've had the opportunity to be there, throughout both, and you said, you started at the university at quite a young age.
I think that the people who should assert their own academic independence is the people in the university. I wouldn't blame any lack of academic independence on any outside forces, because after the advent of pluralism, there was an opportunity for universities to carve out a niche for themselves as independent institutions of academic excellence. Unfortunately, I don't think that the universities have done that, because the process of university administration and appointment of university leaders is fairly intertwined with the politics of the day, and you know what the politics of the day is. So that once the politics of the day seeps into the university, then the university loses their independence, not because there is anybody who is suppressing them, but because they are too intertwined with a political structure that does not render itself to excellence and professionalism. I think that there is room for the universities to assert their own independence, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do that until they deal with this interface between the university administration and the politicians and the politics of the day. Would I say that this is a problem of the government or a problem of the regime or a problem of the administration? I don't think so. I think
you were actually in KU at a time when there was quite a bit of, as a student, there was quite a bit of politics that was going on in the country. I think it was the second liberation, as many call it, the fight for multipartyism. What was that time like for you? Were you involved in student politics? What was that time like for you, or were you just, sort of the fly on the wall that did your studies and moved on?
I don't know that it is possible to go through it without getting involved in it in one way or the other. But what I do know is that I was the quintessential academic. I did believe very, very strongly that the university is a place of scholarship, it's a place of research, it's a place of academics. I did grow to understand that it is not just a place for that, and I think
it's also a place for opening up the mind and understanding what's happening out there in the world, and for activism and for that sort of thing. Or do you think universities should just be strictly scholarly places?
I would want universities to be relevant places, okay? And there is absolutely no way the university is going to be a relevant place if it does not address itself to the problems of society. Unfortunately, Yvonne, what happens is that because in this country everything has been politicized, the link between the university and the outsides tends to be politicized as opposed to be relevant. What am I talking about relevant? Do we want to see relevant research coming out of the universities that is helping to solve problems of society? Absolutely. Do we have enough of that happening? I doubt that we have enough of that happening.
What do you think of the education curriculum reform?
I have very strongly said that I don't think that the Jubilee government has a legitimacy to revise the curriculum. I don't like the way it is being done, and I don't think that it is going to be effective. I have already made that statement, and I've made that statement very, very strongly.
Maybe you can make it more specific.
Let me make it more specific. Let me make it more specific. Why would a country review a curriculum? A country reviews a curriculum because it has a long-term vision for the next generation. And it asks itself, how are we going to attain this long-term vision? And there are certain things that they do to prepare themselves to attain that long-term vision. One of them is usually curriculum review. What is the situation here? We have a visionless, clueless regime that has absolutely no vision beyond 2030. You cannot change a curriculum based on a vision of 5, 10, 15 years. You need a long-term vision. And one of the reasons I have said that Jubilee cannot, should not be allowed to tamper with the curriculum is that they do not have a vision beyond 2017.
You're an academician?
Yes, I am.
The specifics of this that is being piloted now.
Yes.
Let's leave Jubilee out of it for a moment.
Yes. They are the ones piloting it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But let's speak to the nuts and bolts of it, because parents now are watching, wanting to know what you think about the specifics and the nuts and bolts.
Yes.
We can talk about the politics in just a moment. But what do you think are the specific issues that are wrong with it? Have you taken a look at it? What are your thoughts?
Yes.
What would you change? Would you change nothing? Would you throw it all out?
There is nothing fundamentally wrong with the curriculum as we have it today. If you read the curriculum in the books, if you read the syllabus, if you read what is supposed to happen, if you read the objectives, if you read the intentions, there is nothing fundamentally wrong with it. What is wrong is the pedagogy. And I have said, I have written in my blog, profmichaelwainaina.com, if we do not change the pedagogy, the curriculum...
Make it a little simpler for our viewers to understand, please.
Yes.
Tafadhali, Professor.
See, I'm an academic. Let me break it down. The curriculum explains the what. The pedagogy explains the how. What happened is that when we defined the what, when they changed the curriculum and defined the what, they failed to establish a very, very clear how of that curriculum was going to be implemented and what the curriculum outputs were going to be. So what happened is that we took a new curriculum and we started teaching that new curriculum using an old pedagogy. Pedagogy meaning the science and art of teaching and learning. So that what we need to do now, if we are going to be effective about changing a curriculum, is to deal with the how, not with the what. I have said very strongly that you cannot deal with the how if you do not address yourself to the question of teacher training, curriculum, and practice in this country. If you train teachers the same way that you trained them 10, 20, 30 years ago, it doesn't matter whether you give them a new curriculum or you don't give them a new curriculum. I have said that you can have the best curriculum in the world, but what is the most important issue in the implementation of that curriculum, Yvonne, is what happens inside the classroom. For you to deal with that, you have to deal with the teacher.
So how are you going to deal with this issue then? Because the new curriculum is in place, it's being piloted. By the end of the year, it will be in a number of schools, more than it is now with the piloting phase. Would you then scrap this whole curriculum reform and just carry on with 844?
Like I've told you, there's nothing wrong with the curriculum. There's everything wrong with the pedagogy. Would I stop the current reform? Yes, I would. Absolutely, no question about it.
You would throw it out completely?
Throw it out is a bad word. I said would stop it, okay? And then let us retrace our steps. Curriculum reform, and this discussion has been going on for a long time. Curriculum reform takes time. And I have explained in my blog how this should be done. If you plan to change the curriculum, Yvonne, you need to start by training the teachers whom you're going to use in that new curriculum now.
Right.
Okay? So that, for me, there is a rush process.
So you think it's a rushed process?
Yes.
But let me ask you this then.
Yes.
At what point did you make this known to the people that are currently in charge of it? We do know there was public hearings that the Ministry of Education had to anybody who had thoughts on the curriculum reform. Did you make a presentation
Absolutely,
before?
absolutely. And let me tell you, these people, Yvonne, don't do the things they do because of lack of information. I've told you that
Did you make a presentation?
Yes, I have. My position about these things is in the public space. It's in the public domain.
Professor, being in the public domain is one thing, but going before this committee that was taking a look at this and saying, listen, I'm an academician, I have been doing this for 23 odd years.
I was following that process.
Is there a letter?
I was following that process, Yvonne, and I can assure you that they are sufficiently briefed. But remember, this is not an educational process that they are going through. It's a political one.
But Professor, many would say if you were the change that we want to see, that we would see you making some of these efforts.
I have
because I still haven't gotten a question as to whether you made this presentation to the Ministry of Education.
Yvonne, making effort, okay, has many, what do we call it, many manifestations. You want to find out if I'm making effort in terms of helping the country for the purposes of... Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I could have sat in the university and written papers about it. I could have attended conferences. I could have gone to make the presentations that you say I should have gone to make presentations. Yvonne, when I looked at the challenges that we have in terms of linking a new generation with a modern way of learning, okay? I realized that there is a big problem here. Huge, huge problem. And the problem is not that people do not know what needs to be done. The problem is that it is not being done. And that is why I started a school that is based on modern learning environments and systems. If you go to our website, Yvonne, or if you visit the school, one of the things that is key to what we are doing is to ensure that we are delivering the same curriculum. I told you there is nothing wrong with the curriculum. The same curriculum using fairly modern pedagogical methods and systems, because I believe that that is where the problem is. And
but being a stakeholder in the education sector, not just on a personal level, but running a group of schools, as you would, some would say, well, you would reach out to the Ministry of Education and make presentations and do that, because once you say, my views are in the public domain, and everyone would do that, surely the minister has... Everyone's views are in the public domain.
Yes.
But some would say, look, if you went to the ministry and say, look, these are the number of times I attempted to speak to them, I wrote a letter, I prepared a report, I did this sort of thing, that shows Kenyans that you are proactive in dealing even with the government of the day.
I am proactive, Yvonne, in providing the solution. And I have told you that I could have done all that, and I have done some of what you want done. But I asked myself, where do we have an example or a model of how modern education should be done? Because, Yvonne, it is very, very easy to go to the Minister of Education and tell him this is how it should be done. What I wanted to do with Maida's group of schools is to ensure that the practice of it can be demonstrated, and we can show evidentially, to use your word, that it is possible for us to deliver the curriculum that we already have using modern environments, modern systems, and modern methods. Are we doing that? Yes. Are we making a difference? Yes. But making a difference in education, Yvonne, takes time. And that is why I have told you this process is being rushed, okay? Because we didn't even ask ourselves, is it possible for us to fix the pedagogy without changing the syllabus, without changing the curriculum? We didn't. We just said, this is not working, throw out the curriculum, bring in another curriculum. I have said that for me, consistently, my argument has been the problem is the methods, the problem is the pedagogy, and I have actively participated and brought solutions to fix the problem of pedagogy.
Okay. I want us to quickly, I think we're running out of time, but to speak about devolution, your assessment of it over the last 5 years.
I think the idea was good. The idea was long overdue. Like everything else in this country, the implementation is a big problem.
In what way?
In the way, in the sense that the people who thought about devolution thought about taking resources machinani. Perfect idea. What has happened is that they not only devolved resources, they devolved some other bad manners from the central government to the county governments. And therefore, the people who are supposed to be the main beneficiaries of devolution start to feel that devolution hasn't gone as far as it was supposed to go because there are pesa mashimoni, like they said. But there's something good about that. When you devolve corruption, and corruption goes nearer to the people, it becomes more real to the people. And that is why you're finding a fairly huge backlash about corruption now than we used to have before. I don't know that it is more or it is less, but it is nearer to the people, and the people can see it. So is it possible for us to make devolution work? Absolutely, it is possible for us to make devolution work. Get rid of the thieves and get rid of the tribalists. There is absolutely no way. I have said time and time again that until we get rid of the current political class, nothing is going to work.
Okay, so more money, less money. What do you think about the number of counties? There's various arguments about that.
I don't know that there is a problem with the number of counties. You know, Yvonne, if we had a perfectly working system in terms of devolution, it would be possible for us to answer that question. Unfortunately, we do not know whether the hiccups we have in devolution are because of corruption, are because of ineptitude, or are because the idea cannot work in the first place. Before you dismiss...
What are your thoughts? I want to hear your story.
My thoughts
on that issue, because you're saying we don't know.
We don't know.
But do you have a position?
Yes, I do have.
Please.
Can we try to implement what we already have without corruption, without tribalism, and without the inefficiencies that we are seeing, so that we can make a decision on whether it is the format or the structure that is not going to work, or whether it is the implementation? Right now, we cannot be able to tell that because there are so many intervening factors that are not working that you do not know which is the variable that is bringing this thing down. Is it possible for us to stop the corruption that is going on in the counties? I don't think that you can stop it for so long as you have not stopped it in the central government. When you talk about corruption,
and how would you do that specifically?
Get rid of the thieves. Yeah. It is so simple.
Yeah.
It is, I don't like, Yvonne, spending my time trying to explain how to deal with corruption as if we are talking about rocket science. If your things are being stolen, sort the thief. You cannot say that your things are being stolen, and then you start saying that you're going to sit down and develop policy.
Let me ask you a quick one, because I want to get to your closing comments. There's this whole debate in the country about people who should and should not run.
Yes.
Your position, the red card 20, is that enough? Is it less? Is it a valid conversation?
You cannot have that conversation with the Jubilee government in power. It is not possible to have that conversation. And I have said so. I have written very strongly about it, that the last person who should be talking about integrity in office is Jubilee. They were indictees of the ICC and they ran for the presidency. That opened the door to impunity. So we cannot have this discussion.
So should the others who are running be barred from running?
I said we cannot have this discussion. I think the discussion got lost in 2013. It's a lost discussion.
Okay.
It is a lost discussion.
All right, let's close our discussion now, Professor. I would like your final comments and thoughts. There's some people who say you're an academician. You rightly said you were there from a very young age.
Yes.
You spent, I think, a good part of your adult life there.
Yeah.
And that a lot of your arguments and postulations are utopian, academic, and not practical.
Yeah.
Do you understand the realities of it, and of the country, where we are? And is this, what people call utopian, able to be practical in the reality that is Kenya?
Every society changes because people with different ideas come into the political space and they push those ideas. What are those ideas initially called? They are called utopian, they are called unrealistic, they are called academic, they are called all those things. I like it when I hear those words, Yvonne, because it tells me we are talking about something new, we are talking about something different, and people are noticing that we are new and we are different, because this country does need new and it does need different. If somebody chooses to call new and different utopian, that's up to them. If they choose to call new and different unrealistic, but does the country need new? Does the country need different? Yes, Yvonne, nothing changes until something changes. So for so long as we are being called utopian, for so long as we are being called academic, for so long as we are being called unrealistic, I'm happy about it. It confirms to me that we are new and we are different.
And you will get the 50 plus 1?
And we will get
majority?
the 50% plus 1 vote. Yes.
And the majority from the 24 counties as well?
That is the threshold. Yvonne, they said we will not get this far. We did. Trust me. We are going the whole hog and we will get there.
All right.
If we have come this far, we will get that far.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Professor Michael Wainaina, presidential candidate for the August 8th general election. All right. Your comments are flowing in.
Yes.
If you don't emerge as the winner, would you consider offering your expertise to government as a civil servant or consultant? Just a quick one, yes or no?
What's the question?
If you don't emerge winner, would you consider offering your expertise to government?
I cannot work for thieves. I cannot work for thieves and tribalists. Absolutely not.
Okay, all right. Martin Juguna, does he have a costed manifesto? If so, where can we access it? I think we've given...
Unify and modernize Kenya.com.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so... quite a bit of that going on. Please do go onto the hashtag #MeetThePresident for more on that. What are your thoughts? Does he make it for you? Do you now know him a little better? Do you trust him to take over the reins of this country in less than 70 days from now? Please do keep that conversation going. Thank you very much for watching this edition of Meet the President. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. We will have another candidate next week, and we'll be speaking to him. Sadly, there are no women this time around, but we'll be speaking to him and we'll let you know who that will be next week. Thank you very much for watching us this week. Have a good night and think very clearly about the choices that you're going to make on the 8th of August. Bye-bye.